Hello and welcome to The Stinger, Superfans Guide to Everything in Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and more. I am your co-host, Josh Gann, and I have friends everywhere, and two of them are on this podcast with me today, Joseph Snead and Trent Neely. How you doing, boys?
Guys, we get to talk about Andor again. It's a great day.
Yeah, I mean, it's like maybe the best Star Wars thing ever. So
No doubt.
good.
No doubt. Actually, that does feel like a hot take. Honestly, like I was thinking about it before our episode today. Like, do I say it? Do I say it's the best Star Wars ever? Like, that almost feels a little blasphemous to George Lucas. But it's kind of
now I don't think it's the best one ever. I'm just saying the conversation can be had
For sure.
which is in itself a good thing.
And maybe we will have that conversation today, and that's why I am so excited to talk about this TV show today. Thank you all for listening. As always, you can get this podcast wherever you listen to your podcast, and you can watch on YouTube at The Stinger Pod. Follow us on social media, on TikTok and on Instagram at The Stinger Pod as well. We're really excited to be back posting episodes to your feed. You can check out our Superman review that's out there. I am super excited to get into Andor today. Disclaimer would be, this show came out in April. We are aware of that. We know it came out several months ago from when you are listening to this episode now. But the cool thing is that this show just won an Emmy.
Mm-hmm.
Trey, do you have the specific awarded one? I think it was...
It was best writing for an episode, and I believe it was the Mon Mothma speech episode, I think. Let me look that up to verify.
I wasn't sure if it was for an episode or for the entire series, but that would make sense if that's the episode that won that award. So we're bringing Andor back in the discussion because it is back in the discussion now with the recent Emmys being given out, and because this show just matters a lot to all three of us, and this is the time that we have to get back with each other and talk about it. So Andor season 2 came out earlier this year and was a big deal. Was it, Trey, do you have if it was for the...
Yeah, it was for the Welcome to the Rebellion episode, which I think is the one where Cassian's getting Mon Mothma out of the Coruscant.
Yep. So that is a huge deal that an IP show wins an Emmy, let alone a Star Wars show wins an Emmy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know I was pulling for it probably before season 2 even came out because of how much I love season 1, and that might be a good place to start. What were your expectations coming in? Because we've been on this podcast already talking about how much we love season 1, and I've probably referenced it in several other episodes not about Star Wars at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was crazy because season 1, because I'll take it back a little bit where we were talking about hot takes earlier. Like, my hot take is, like, I only think Rogue One's, like, pretty good, even, like, kind of okay. That's, like, my hot Star Wars take. And so when season 1 was announced, I was like, like the guy from Rogue One, like, I'm not sure this is like the show I want to see. And then Andor was awesome. And so then it was me like convincing people who'd sort of given up on Disney Star Wars to like, you should watch the show. And even people who'd like never watched Disney shows, I was like, no, this is like a great show. And like the entire world eventually caught on. And then season 2, I was like, I don't know, man. Like, it's kind of like when you have like a favorite restaurant that nobody knows about, and then like people find out about it. It's like, does it get ruined by people paying attention to it? And I remember I texted you guys when the trailer for season 2 dropped, the first one, and then the trailer showed nothing, but it was just press clips and quotes from season 1 of like the best thing ever. And I was like, even they don't know how to advertise this besides saying like, remember how awesome Andor season 1 was? So I was actually like not nervous that it'd be bad, but I was like, I don't know if it was like, just since we weren't expecting it to be what it was, season 1, that like, if that magic's gone, is it still good? And fortunately, it was still really good. But yeah, I was a little bit nervous going into season 2.
I was actually pretty confident going into season 2.
Yeah.
Season 1, I think I had the same reaction as Trent, and it was kind of what I thought about, when Loki was coming out. It was like, what's the point of this? Loki died.
Right.
Who cares? And, Andor died in Rogue One. Like, we really doing the, like, the side character of Rogue One. Is that what we're stuck with now? And I was coming from like, oh yeah, I like really like Rogue One. I think it's really good. So I like it more than, not that Trent dislikes it, but like I really like Rogue One. And then season 1 came out, and I was like, wait a minute, is this better than the Mandalorian? And then as it went on, I was like, dang, this is better than the Mandalorian. But it's so different from the Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole time you're watching it, you're like, how are they making a Star Wars show like this? That's like actually not, I don't want to say like actually good, but good in the sense of like, oh, this competes with like the best shows on TV now. It's not just like the pulpy action shows that Star Wars is kind of known for. It's like, wait a minute, this is like something different here.
Yeah.
And so going into season 2, I was like, dang, we're only going to get 2 seasons out of this. That's kind of strange. And then, obviously what happened, season 2 happened, and it was great. So
yeah,
this is a great show.
That first trailer for season 1, I think I remember feeling at the start, like from that, the first time we saw the first trailer for season 1, I was like, oh, that's not what I thought this was going to be. It looked like prestige television, and that's what it ended up becoming, because they shoot on location, real set design going on behind the scenes. Visually from the start, I was like, wow, this show looks amazing just from that first trailer of season 1. Then we watched the show, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is like expert level writing. I almost think if this show had a different name, that it would be more popular.
For sure.
I think
the fact that it's still like
Rebellion.
Yeah,
I think the fact that it still has a Star Wars connotation is still keeping like maybe like 9% of people who would love the show from watching it, because they're just like, man, it's still like an IP extension Disney thing, and it's like, I know, but like,
and I think the flip of that could be true too, because I know a guy that I'm like, hey man, you really need to watch Andor. He's like, I'm tired of this Disney Star Wars. I think it sucks. I don't want to watch it. Like, buddy,
it's not the same thing.
I'm like, I understand. I get not liking the modern Star Wars. Like it's mostly good to me, but I get not being down with the vision that Disney has had. I'm like, no, this is legitimately the best thing Disney has made with this property.
Yeah,
it is so like, good.
This show is more similar to Succession than it is The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
You know, like it is. That is the like, and it's so hard to describe that as a fan of Star Wars to like a non-Star Wars fan. Like Haley watched this show with me, and she does not care about Star Wars at all. She went with me in college to go see like The Last Jedi, and God bless her soul when it saw Rise of Skywalker with me, and like that was how she was introduced to Star Wars, and that's a tough way to be introduced to Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And she watched
with you after that.
It's exactly like, that's a very like faithful relationship right there. You know, like I showed her Rise of Skywalker, and she stuck it out with me. Like that is, that's the strength of marriage right there. And so, but she watched all of Andor with me, season 1 and 2, and it's like one of her favorite shows too. I mean, granted, it's a little depressing for Haley's taste, but still, like she loves it. And I'm just like, if I could just tell everyone, like, it's literally not, you don't have to know a lick of anything about Star Wars. It doesn't matter. You could just hop right in, not knowing anything, and really enjoy this show. So yeah, I do you guys feel like season 2 changed the like popularity or engagement with this show at all, or do you think it's basically the same audience from season 1?
I think it's basically the same. I feel like the thing that changed is that like the conversation shifted to, and I'll be careful how I say this, but like the conversation in season 1 was like, oh, this is Star Wars for adults, and then the conversation around season 2 seemed to be like, oh, this is like a searing political drama that happens to be in the realm of Star Wars, and then it's like it became much more about like what is the show actually saying and how is it being so unflinching in what it's saying, and that became, I feel like, the change in the conversation
Yeah.
between season 1 and season 2.
Yeah, and I think it being Star Wars for adults is accurate, but also it treats the audience like they're smart. So like the thing I saw, and it showed a little bit of audience dumbness of people being like, "What happened when Take Homa got into the speeder? Did they kill him? We don't know." And we're like, "Okay, he's dead. Like
Come on,
it's
guys.
very clear he's going to die." But they didn't have to come out and say, "Hey, go kill this guy." It's just like he gets in the speeder. You have the look between Vel and
Cinta.
what's Cinta, and you're like, "Oh,
He's
he's
gone.
dead." But,
Yeah,
That's it.
but you
that's
don't. It's stuff. It's like little things like that throughout the season that they don't spell out for you.
Yeah, you
That
have
kind
to
of makes
you
it
have to
different.
pay attention to this show like
yes.
very intently.
There were moments where
Because if
like I would
this,
like check a text on my phone for 1 second and
Yeah.
I would miss like a scene and then I'd be like, hold on, and then I'd have to back it up because like there wasn't dialogue telling me what happened. It was like
Right.
a visual thing that I missed. And I
Right.
was like, oh, that happened.
yeah, because if a scene like that would have been in The Mandalorian, there would have been an order from someone like, "Hey, I need you to go kill that guy."
Yep.
Like
Right.
it would have been very
Yep.
spelled out,
And we
which
would
is
have
fine
had to
for what
see
the
the
man.
dead body on the screen.
Yeah, because you always have the thing like, oh, if you don't see a dead body, if you don't see a body, they're not dead. Whereas
Right.
this one is like, no, we're just gonna like kill him off screen, and he's actually dead. And everyone, I think, should be like, yeah, that tracks, because a lot of the stuff of the important stuff of Andor does happen off screen. Like obviously in season 2 we get a little bit of director Krennic. And you're like, okay, he's working on the Death Star, but he's not coming out and saying until pretty much the last couple episodes, "I'm working on the Death Star." It's like happening behind closed doors. And if you never watched Star Wars before, you'd be like, what is this dude's obsession with this like fuel on this planet? Like, what are they doing?
Mm-hmm.
But he says it's an energy project.
Yep.
And so if you had never heard of the Death Star before, and then suddenly the shift comes in that episode where Luthen and Lonnie are talking, and Lonnie's like, "Hey, there's a super weapon, actually." You're like, "Wait a minute! He said it was an energy project," and then you start shifting the tone even more. And I think it's interesting too how the show kind of started getting bleaker and bleaker, like you were talking about. Like you feel how the rebellion's like, oh yeah, we're like about to all die. Throughout the show too.
Yep. Yeah, it's really that feeling of dread kind of carries throughout this season. One difference of this season. So Joseph, you said that like earlier on, we found out this show was going to be 2 seasons long, and it was like, okay, that's a weird choice, like a weird number. The show was originally supposed to be 5 seasons, directed by Tony Gilroy, and I think he shut that down to like have a life outside of Star Wars, and seasons 2 through 5 end up being condensed all into season 2, and we go 3 episode chunks through 4 years of Andor's life and the life of the rebellion, leading all the way up to Rogue One. Like season 2 ends and Andor is walking off to the mission where he is at the beginning of Rogue One. And the episodes dropped 3 episodes at a time in, so you could watch what happened in each year all at once. So did that work for you guys? Did the time jumps work, and did the releasing in 3 chunks work as you were watching this?
Yeah, I think the 3 chunks thing worked really well. I think the time jumps worked really well overall. I think the main thing that I like, it wasn't that it was bad. I just selfishly wanted more. I wanted more of, because there's this thing in season 2 of like the rebellion becoming more and more taxed and like weary of Luthen and being like, you're actually not really a part of this and you're doing your own thing. and I was like, I want to understand why, like a little more, why
Yeah.
they hate him so much. By the end of the series, they're like, yeah, you can't trust anything he says, and it's up to Andor to be like, no, this dude like built this essentially. So I wanted a little more of that.
Yeah.
That was like the main thing that I was like, I think if this had been more elongated, that could have been allowed to breathe a little bit more.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it was great because I think the fact that the thing that you gain though is that the sense of dread that you guys are talking about, it wouldn't have been the same if we were watching this for 5 years, because eventually people would have gotten on like Reddit boards and been like, we know that these people are all going to die. Like, we know none of this
Right.
matters. Like, how is Disney milking this for 5 years? And
That's
the
a
fact
great
that it's
point.
just like a march to it being inevitable is really impactful.
You know, I liked the time jumps, and I almost think it's harder to successfully pull off a time jump than to just keep going. Because, you know, the original 6 Star Wars movies all have like huge time jumps. Not
That's
necessarily
true.
huge, but like big time jumps, and you're just kind of thrown in
Yep.
the middle of something, and you're like, okay, this is what's happened since then, but we're not going to really sit and worry about that. So I think it's interesting too how even with those time gaps, you can almost, as an audience, like imply or like make your own answer to what happened.
Yeah.
Like, well, you know, Luthen is kind of paranoid and doesn't trust anybody and withholds information, and now as the rebellion is kind of coalescing into a group, he's just like, no, we're not going to do that. And they're like, yeah, we are. You need to like get with the program or not. And you know, you see the differences with Cassian and Bix's relationship
Yep.
over the years.
Yeah.
Yep.
As that kind of switches, and you see what happens. You know, you see the grief because they lose some people.
Yeah. Yep.
You also see more and more the descent into madness of Saw Gerrera. Of like,
Yes.
first
Which
he's
led
kind
to a
of
great
paranoid.
meme.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, first you're like, dang, this dude is super paranoid, but I kind of get it. And then he's like, hey man, we're doing drugs now, so.
Yes. Welcome to the rebellion.
But even that speech that he gives is like, dang, I can't say that I wouldn't do the same thing that Willman did there, because Saul's like, come on, Chief, it's time to join up. Let's get going. Smoke the Rhino. So,
yep.
You know, I think the time jump and the clusters worked. I liked too that they dropped them in clusters because, you know, some of them would have cliffhanger endings. You'd be like, dang, I got to wait a week for this. And now they're like, nope, here's just like a movie for you this week. And then next week, oh, here's another movie for you. So
the only time I really felt like it didn't pay off was the second batch of episodes. The like, I can't remember what year that was, but I guess the year was like 3 BBY. That was the only batch to me where I feel like because season 1 wasn't released in that order, but I felt like each 3 episodes had their own arc, and each 3 episodes throughout the entire show kind of has a climactic ending every 3rd episode.
Mm-hmm.
And that second batch was the one that didn't, to me, for some reason. It was struggled to keep momentum a little bit, in my opinion, just from a plot standpoint. But it was doing so much setup for later in the season that it ended up paying off.
Yeah.
So that was the one where Cassian goes to Space France, right?
Yes. To Gorman?
Yeah, Space France.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
Space France.
All right. Just making sure. It was Space Europe to me. There's a few places it could have been, you know. Could have.
Well, they definitely sounded French. So
yeah, because I think
that's true.
I think Tony Gilroy said he purposely cast French actors because he based the Gorman stuff on the French Revolution from World War II.
Oh,
that's why.
Okay,
yeah, like
that's cool.
The French Resistance and stuff, because you know Germany basically came in World War II and like steamrolled France.
Yeah,
but there was like a French underground that was working on, you know, resisting some of the stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even that one is kind of slow and methodical. It was because that was the set of episodes too where Bix is still like dealing with.
She's like tripping out on Coruscant. Yeah. Yep. And doing the battery, the whatever those things were. The little battery drops or whatever they were. Yeah. What? So this we talked beforehand. Like we're not gonna have hardly anything negative to say
No.
about this show. So that's just what it is. We love it. It's hard to find anyone that doesn't love this show,
Mhm.
that has watched it. Like it is this show does in some ways have a cult following, I guess, because everyone is just unanimously supportive of it. So I want to just talk about what we loved about it. I think the best way to do this is like what are some of our favorite moments from season 2? Like what stood out to you when you think back to this season of television?
I mean, we just sort of briefly talked about it, but like the Gorman like arc in the massacre, like that whole
Yeah.
batch of episodes, and it was interesting because like Joseph, you didn't spoil it, but like you hinted, I think, in one of like our earlier pod episodes that you were like, I know what they're like macro doing, like what
Oh.
like the
Mm.
plotting of events were going to be, and you
Well,
were
because
like,
this is
Yeah.
this is
you were
like Legends, right? It like the Gorman Massacre is Legends canon.
Well-
Is that correct?
Well, so I mean, there's a few. So they mention it that there was like a first mini Corman massacre where Tarkin like just lands his shuttle on a bunch of people. They're like, "Hey,
Yep.
that sucks." But it's kind of been known that the inciting thing for the rebellion for a while has been Mon Mothma's speech denouncing this
That's
Corman
right.
massacre.
That's right.
Mm.
So,
Which is in Rebels, by the way. We
yeah,
should
it's
point
in
out.
it's in Rebels.
yeah, trying to get away to retcon that because he was like,
Yeah.
like I want to do something else.
right. Yep.
Which I don't really care. 'Cause
Right. Exactly.
It turned out to be really good.
We can live in that world.
And you know, he only really retconned the speech. And so when I saw someone was like, "Hey, this is just like a little backup speech she's doing on like a propaganda tour. How about that?" And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
that tracks with me."
Yep.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
But after that episode came out, I watched the Rebels episode. And was like, "Dang, this still does kind of fit together pretty well." And then even at the end of the main episode in Andor, he's like, "So we getting her to Yavin?" And they're like, she's meeting up with another crew of rebels." And
Yeah.
so I feel like there's some people putting words in Tony Gilroy's mouth, and they're like, "Yeah, Andor's good because he hates Star Wars." And like, no, this guy does not hate Star Wars.
No,
He has a healthy like of Star Wars, but is not obsessed with it and not like beholden to things. But this dude does not hate Star Wars and then go and make one of the best Star Wars projects ever. He likes it. He's just not a giant nerd about it.
No, I think the quote I remember from season 1 was he was like, I know that we all love Star Wars, but he's like, but pretend if you didn't.
Yep.
Like, what would thematically in this world be the correct thing to write?
That's an excellent point.
Yeah, but I feel like everyone is always talking about him like, "Yeah, this guy hates Star Wars. We need more of that." I'm like, do you not listen to what he's saying? He likes Star Wars. He grew up watching Star Wars. He's in that generation of directors who probably got inspired by Star Wars.
In fact, I saw like I think it was on the Emmys red carpet. Somebody asked him, it was like, what inspired you to like put politics so at the forefront of a Star Wars thing in this show? And he's like, honestly, I think the subtext of this all is there in the original trilogy.
Yeah,
it's just not in the forefront.
Yep.
He's right. But he's like, but it's 100% there, and he's right. He's 100% right, because if George Lucas wanted to make a pure fantasy thing, he could have totally done that with just like Palpatine being like an evil wizard. But the fact that he uses the terms like Empire and a Rebel Alliance, like those are inherently politically charged identifiers.
Absolutely.
They just are. And so yeah, he's like, no, this is all there. Like George wants to talk about this, and especially like rewatching the prequels as I get older, like George is talking about some political stuff with like the prequels too.
And,
for sure.
So yeah, it's all there.
And he used the Mon Mothma actress who didn't say a word in the prequels and was in the background and was in like some deleted scenes. Yeah. He used her. The only reason they didn't use Jimmy Smits was because he wasn't available, but they wanted to. He's like, "Look, we got to have Bail Organa here." And when Bail Organa comes in and does his thing, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, this just feels like Bail Organa. You know, it's fine." And, you know, he brought back Saw Gerrera, who he didn't have to, you know. It could have just been unnamed psychotic rebel.
Right.
So like he's paying attention to what the other events in the universe are. He's just
For
not
sure.
beholden to like, oh, I've got to have a lightsaber in here. I've got to have the Force, even though the Force was in season 2 like a tiny bit.
Yeah.
But
was.
it felt not out of place. It felt out of place, but in like the right way. Of everyone there is like, what is this lady doing? Like, allegedly she heals people. Okay, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But you know, if you're a regular person, like if you were walking around today and you're in a rebellion and this lady walks up and is like, "Hey, I can heal you with magic," you're like, okay, we're glad you're here. Bye.
Glad to have you on the team. Yeah, I want to talk about that scene later. First, I do think the Gorman massacre is like that's like the main event of this season.
For sure. If you're going to talk about one thing, I think that's going to be most people's takeaway from this season.
So what worked? What made this so effective? Because that when it all comes to a boiling point in whatever episode that is towards the latter end of the season, I was floored. I have not. Again, for a show where you know the fates of like basically everyone here is going to die, I still have not felt so on the edge of my seat with an episode as that episode.
No, I thought I thought the episode was gonna be that like they were gonna like bait like one of the rebels into doing something, and the fact that it's like a stormtrooper who I think attacks another Imperial person that actually gets it all going.
It's
I'm
a
like,
setup.
that's so devious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like. So yeah, you have all that chaos going on, and then you have Andor trying to do a whole separate mission within that to take out Deidre, and then Cyril Karn is on this thing for his whole trajectory in the season of like he's playing the double agent part, obviously, but you can tell part of him. I won't say he's like regretful, but he's like starting to think a little critically about like what he's doing. And in fact, I saw a meme at the time that like the episode came out that it's like it was kind of like low key funny that he had like this moment of like, what have I done? But then immediately saw Andor and went right back into fight mode. He was like, never mind. Like, I hate this dude.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's backed up by he did have a moment of awakening. Yeah. But you see his true character right before when he puts his hands on Deidre. Yes. You know, like that. There is. He's more mad that he got played.
Yes.
Than he is at what the Empire is doing. That's how I interpreted it.
No, I agree. Yeah. I love that like Tony Gilroy created a character that's like he can think about like the repercussions of his actions, but it doesn't mean that he's going to get redeemed. And it's not that he even wants to be redeemed, but he can still think about like, whoa, this is intense.
And I think he actually like did like the Gormans.
Yes, that was cool to see.
I think so too.
I think because Cyril's whole thing is he's like obsessed with order that the Empire can bring. Like he wants everything ordered. Yep. And then when he finds out, they're like, "Oh, we're not just putting down this rebellion. We're like destroying this planet. That's not order. That's just evil." Even though he's still like kind of evil, but also I think his death was really well done because you know we had
it's absolutely incredible.
Because like he's so focused on this Andor guy, and then Andor's like, I don't even know who you are.
Who are you? The coldest line, I might be the coldest line in this whole show, is Andor unintentionally burning Cyril by going, "Who are you?" And just the look of devastation on his face.
And then he immediately dies.
Yeah. There are not like you couldn't write a more satisfying ending for a character. Not like in the sense like I'm not satisfied he died necessarily because you do see the humanity in him in a lot in this scene and in this episode. But it is just perfect. He has spent this entire 5 years or whatever it is chasing down this man, and like he is in the position he is in life right now because it all started with chasing down Andor.
Right.
And he has these illusions that he's like, it is actually for this like righteous purpose for bringing that order to society. But the moment at which he realizes that he really wasn't actually known by the actual person who he was chasing down. It showed the pride that was there behind, and kind of the ego pursuit that was behind so much of this. And then he dies. It's just
Yeah.
crazy. It's incredible.
One of the things I liked in the season 2 is his relationship with Deidre, because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, these are like basically two tryhard Reddit mods that got together.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
they are like, it's so uncomfortable
Yes.
whenever they're around, but it works because neither of them are in, like the dinner scene with his mom when he just
Oh my
like goes
God.
in and collapses on his bed. Like, oh
It was
yeah,
one of
I
the
would be
best
cringing.
scenes.
I'd be like cringing out of my skin too if my mom was doing this.
Yeah.
But their relationship, like, it's so toxic. Their relationship,
It's
but
horrible.
they both kind of just deserve a toxic person to be with. And I think it's interesting too. After he dies, you don't see what Deidre's reaction to that is,
No.
because I think in some like weird demented way, like they do care for each other.
Yeah.
But you can almost see it in her eyes when she's going to Luthen, like, oh, I'm getting back at everyone for Cyril and for what happened to me and all of this bad stuff that's gone on. It's finally time for me to get my comeuppance. And then Luthen is like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
That's
even
a
their
great moment.
relationship, as creepy and weird as it is, was another thing that I think worked in
Mm-hmm.
It
for
did.
what it was meant to be. Like
Yeah.
it
100%.
played the purpose it was supposed to.
You could tell she cares for him through how she starts like basically bullying his mom in that dinner scene.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is where like this is where I draw the line. Like, you could do this, you can't do that. Like like that was crazy that she did that. But I think their relationship really, I was shocked honestly when the season opened and we found that they were together, because they embraced and kissed at the end of season 1, and like I've never been more repulsed by a kiss than theirs on at the end
Oh,
of that
did they
season.
actually kiss in season 1? I don't remember that.
Oh, maybe they didn't. I thought they did.
I'm trying to remember. I remember the last thing I remember is that he's just like simping super hardcore
Yes.
for her.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
And that she's like, get away from me, you punk, but kind of
Yeah.
like
He's like stalking her on the
Yeah.
way into the ISB and stuff.
yeah, and she's like
I mean,
kind of
he's-
flirting back at the end, but that was like the last hint of it. And then I forget if there's a kiss or not. And then yeah, season 2 opens up and they're just like living together, and it's like, oh boy.
I was like, wow, that
mean,
okay.
I mean,
Things escalated quickly.
he's an incel and she's a dom, so it's like it's really. I mean, there's not really much other ways to say it, but
You're accurate. You're spot on. You are spot
That's
on.
a social
sir.
media clip right there.
That
Like,
is. That is.
so yeah, we might need to take that out and edit.
no, we're keeping that in. That's
Stays in.
staying in.
It's just-
Stays in, Joseph.
It's so uncomfortable watching.
It is.
together.
It really is. What other moments stand out for you? And because I mean, there's so much.
I really loved the Clea Luthen origin episode.
Oh,
Because I was like, okay, so was Luthen like from a rich like aristocrat like old republic like family, and then he decided like, nah, like the rebellion thing is better, and so to find out that he like wiped out Clea's whole planet and basically had this huge, or like was part of a military operation that did, and then rescued this one kid and was like, all right, we're just gonna do like the rebellion thing totally by the two of us if that's what it takes. And then they like form this weird father-daughter bond that he won't let fully become parent-child, and she won't either. But then at the end, like when she has to, spoiler alert, take Luthen off life support, it's like a sad scene.
Oh,
and she
devastating.
like feels remorse about it.
then-
I just thought it was so well done, and she's like so smart that whole episode too, like evading the cameras, and it's all silent, no dialogue, just like visual storytelling. I was like, that episode rocked.
And it's interesting too, because it twists what you think about season 1, where now you're thinking like, wait a minute, Clay is kind of running the show and he's the support,
Right.
Yeah.
instead of her just
Honestly.
being like his. Because season 1, you're kind of like, oh, she's like the secretary pretty much.
Right.
And then in season 2, you see like, oh wait, she's the one that like bombed this bridge on Naboo, and is kind of calling the shots on things and telling Luthen basically like, dude, you got to get it together. You're slipping.
Yeah, this season especially. I
Mm-hmm.
if there was a most improved player award, Clea gets that award for
Oh
this
yeah.
season of television. Like I've never seen like she went from six man to MVP in a season. Like it was incredible come up for her. That was so the flashbacks were intermixed with the in the same episode where Luthen dies. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes.
That might be is no, it's not my favorite episode, but it's up there. It might be second or third favorite of this season
Mm-hmm.
because there's a moment um in a flashback scene where Luthen and Clea are walking about some town and the Empire is there and they execute this random like cluster of I mean they look like pretty young
Mm-hmm.
kids for some reason. I don't know. We don't know what planet they're on or anything. And they execute them. And Clea is upset and furious, and they go walking off. And Luthen looks at her and says something to the effect of like, "We lose and we lose and we lose, so that like eventually we can win." Like I'm
Yeah.
paraphrasing, but that scene just perfectly encapsulated what Luthen's whole agenda was from the scenes we see in the flashback all the way up until his death. Like
Mhm.
he knew that to win like in this war and to like create a rebellion, like it was gonna take losses, and he was okay and comfortable with that. And like
Mm-hmm.
it it explains so much of what his character does all the way throughout the season. When you talk about him in season one sending some like I can't remember like transport or ship that was carrying a lot of people into in somewhere where he knew they were going to get destroyed, and him purposefully like allowing the Gorman rebellion to rise even after Cassian told him like I don't want any part of this, you shouldn't allow this to happen. He is very like cruelly letting people die, but he knows it's all part of the purpose. Like that strategy to lose until
Mhm.
you win. It was just that moment perfectly encapsulated his whole character, and I loved it.
Yeah, because he's thinking of like, yeah, the next 5, 10, whatever years of the rebellion are gonna suck, but if it leads to hundreds of years of freedom, like the calculus of that, it doesn't
Right,
measure up in his mind at all.
right,
Yeah,
yeah,
and all of his scheming and stuff still almost falls apart. They get rescued by like a
yeah,
redneck kid showing up in his friend's tractor trailer and and still destroying the Death Star. Otherwise, they still would have
yep,
lost. But it's all these little tiny things of like, okay, they're getting this information about the Death Star, and then they find the plans with Galen Erso and all kinds of stuff. So even with all of his planning that works out, they still need that just like little bit of luck at the
yeah,
end.
yeah. They do, they need it even in Rogue One with the way the Death Star plans eventually make their way into Princess Leia's hands. I mean, it is, but every sacrifice is worth it, and that's a theme that plays out like not just with Luthen, but through like every character. Like I wanted to also talk about,
Mhm.
to me, the other stand-up moment is Bix's message to Cassian when she leaves him at the end of that episodic arc. Has got to be one of the most crushing things I've watched, dude.
Well, and especially when the final ending happens,
Right.
and you really understand what she's doing, and
Mhm.
and then that changes the entire way you watch the ending of Rogue One of him on the
Oh
beach.
my
It's
gosh.
just like, oh, he was waiting and hoping that one
Yep.
day he'll get back to Bix,
Yep.
and he knows in that moment it's never gonna happen. And then she like gives up a relationship with him for this rebellion, and then also doesn't tell him that like he has a kid,
She's pregnant with his child. Yep.
and like that it's that, like and then like they'll never meet, but like the rebellion like was more or not more important, but like she knew that he had to at least do those
Oh,
missions, and then
And
maybe the hope of something later down the line was worth it.
and he is important to the alliance, but he's not an unforgettable face in there. Like he's just one of the the foot soldiers. So there's not going to be a big statue to Cassian Andor anywhere, and she's
right.
going to be able to tell the kid like, "Hey, this is what your dad died for." But it's not like, "Oh, your dad is Han Solo, or your dad is Luke
Right.
Skywalker, or your mom is Princess Leia, or Mon Mothma or some of these people that are like the huge leaders of the rebellion. This is like, no, he won't really be remembered by
No,
the galaxy as a whole. And I think that's a good point of it too, because with a lot of like history we have, we remember the George Washington,
right.
and we remember like FDR and Eisenhower, but not all. We don't know the names of the guys that died on like
Exactly.
D-Day,
Yep.
and we
Yep.
don't know the names of all the people that have died even in the last 20, 30 years, fighting terrorism and keeping us safe. And so I think it almost tries to shine a light on that too, of like, hey, we don't need to forget these, basically little guys, these forgettable guys, because you don't have the big good stuff without them.
It's so true. And I mean, if I could just be honest, this show it just got me to like the best uses of IP, like the best forms of franchise IP and genre storytelling like this, in my mind, are always going to be the ones where like they cause you to think about the real world after. You can see the parallels
Mm-hmm.
into the real world through watching it. And I've never felt that way more, I think, than watching Andor. I mean, in a sense, it's crazy that real life events were reflecting real like events that were
Mm-hmm.
happening in the show as it was coming out. But on top of that, it's just like if you honestly like if you I think this is just as inspiring to anyone watching this show as Star Wars, A New Hope and Empire and all
Mm-hmm.
those are to like those movies, the original trilogy being so inspiring to young kids to believe in themselves, Like in a way, this is just as inspiring, I think, to adults to remember like who's
Mm-hmm.
who is behind the scenes at creating change. And if you want to see change created in your world, like it's gonna have to come from the people whose names don't get remembered. And I just think like it is like extremely powerful that this show is coming out when it is. And I just like
Well,
I that would be my pitch to anyone that hasn't watched the show yet, is like just like look at how it's reflecting the world that we live in. I don't know.
and I think it all has to go back to the great Luthen monologue from season one, where he's basically
Yeah.
like, I'm destroying myself to do this, and no one will ever thank me.
Yeah.
But it's just what's got to happen.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of part of the message too, of like, you may never get credit for it, but you
Yeah.
still need to do the hard work to get in. Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough good about the show.
Right.
No, it's well written, it's well acted, like the music's awesome. Like Mon
Oh
Mothma
yeah.
dancing became like a whole thing on the internet for a while. Like
It
that's a
did.
bop.
It really
The
did.
the the music when like the last like closing montage is happening and Cassian's like walking to the U
Yeah.
wing,
Yeah.
like,
Oh my gosh.
I'll go
It
run through a
is
wall after listening to that
poetic,
music.
dude. Oh my gosh, yeah. Because it ties in all of like you get a glimpse of almost everyone that's been a meaningful
Mm-hmm.
part of the. Oh, that makes me think like this show did such a great job at. Tony Gilroy is a master of the details and making sure that like no end gets left untied. One of those
Mm-hmm.
areas, because I just that ending shot highlights so many different characters that played a role in the rebellion throughout the 2 seasons of the show, but one that isn't but is highlighted elsewhere is one of my favorite moments is when the ISB leader, I can't remember his name, but like the director of the ISB kills
Oh
himself.
yeah, Pentagast or whatever his
Yeah,
name. Yeah,
yeah. But before
Partagaz.
Partagast.
guess,
Thank you.
yeah. But before he kills himself, is listening to the manifesto
From
that
season one.
what's his name? I can't remember his name now.
Yeah,
Nemec.
I can't even.
Nemec. Yeah,
Nemec.
he's listening to Nemec's manifesto before he killed. Like that was the perfect time to drop that back in and like informs why he makes the decision to kill himself right after. Like that was an incredible touch, I thought.
Yeah,
And then
and
I even like the small detail of the guy that comes in is like, I'm going to give you a minute to collect your thoughts. And he steps
Yeah.
outside, and you hear the gunshot, and the stormtroopers kind of jump, and he's
Yeah.
just like, no,
He's like, nope, nope.
don't
Yeah.
do anything.
Nope.
It's
Mhm.
okay.
That's
No,
crazy.
and then
Because
Deidre ends up in a similar prison that like Andor was in season
Yes.
1. Like it all,
Oh,
in the words of George
great
Lucas,
points.
in the words of George Lucas, it all rhymes. It's poetry. It all
Yeah.
rhymes. Like,
Yeah. It's true.
Director Krennic was like, he was eaten in that scene.
When he
with
with
the
Deidre.
finger.
oh my gosh, bro. When he loses his mind on her, like honestly, Director Krennic got to be one of my favorite Star Wars characters at this point.
But between seeing how like awesome and threatening he is in Andor, and then how much of a loser, and I mean that as a compliment, he is in Rogue One.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like it's so funny to watch Andor and be like, dude, I know in like 20 minutes you're about to be choked out by Vader, and just being like, will you give me credit?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
So well done.
But also, the only people he kind of looks like that to are Vader, who's like the apprentice of the Emperor, like the scariest dude ever,
Right.
and Tarkin, who runs all of the Imperial military. So basically, he only looks like that to like 2 of the 3 baddest dudes in the Empire.
Correct.
And then I like the restraint of not showing the Chancellor, or not the Chancellor, the Emperor at all during the season. Because even
I wonder if they would.
And he's just like, they're just like, oh yeah, the Emperor's doing this, or the Emperor's doing this. And you almost forget that the Emperor is like a Sith Lord. They're just like, oh yeah, the Emperor. You're like, oh, he's just like a bad guy that is a tyrant. And then you remember like, oh no, he's like the most evil person ever, just because he likes to be evil. Yeah. But you have all of the little evil bureaucracy under him. It's like, oh yeah, we need to do this and this. He's like, I just want to shoot people with lightning. Like, can you just let me be evil?
But I think also like it does illustrate the point of when we're talking like when it is a parallel to real life, that a lot of times these like evil leaders can lurk behind the shadows and have their work done for them by force and not have to show their faces a whole lot of times. That we haven't talked about the Mon Mothma speech yet.
Yeah,
I mean we referenced it, but like how about that?
Well, and also that like Mon Mothma, basically, I would say besides is actually like the stealth protagonist of this season. Like I would argue the season's more about her than it even is about Andor, actually. Because like the season sort of starts with her being like, hey, what are we gonna do about this one guy who's not gonna invest in the rebellion anymore? Am I right? And Luthen's like, oh, we're gonna handle that, and then she's like, cool, I'm gonna go not think about that and have a little dance break. But like sort of like you were saying earlier, Josh, of like all these people coming to realizations that like for her, she's like, oh, like I have to stay and do things through the correct political process, and then through the season, she's just like, oh, it's gotten too out of hand. And now we're gonna hopefully we can get like the people to realize that, and then we'll be able to build a new system hopefully in a proper way down the line. And like that being her journey, but like realize that like Andor has to explain to her how dangerous it is when he's like rescuing her. He's like, do you understand what's happening now?
Right. It's pretty, because you have to have that perspective in the show. To me, I think if you're going to, because Star Wars before Andor, it is pretty focused on the rebels and the heroes of the rebellion. It's not focused as much on the politics, like Tony Gilroy said, it's subtext. But if you're going to make a show that's so embedded in the politics of it, you have to have this perspective and show how things got so bad and got to a point where politics aren't a possible solution anymore. And she's the perfect character to show that through, because she really is from the start of season 1 a true politician, and it is like pretty remarkable to see. The speech is the perfect send off. It's like it's her way of starting the rebellion, but through a political angle still, because she's doing it in front of the Senate, and the speech is phenomenal too.
I think if I had one thing about that, they said it was like a deleted scene, or maybe wasn't even filmed, but was the guy whose son her daughter marries.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name. When she's given the speech, he's the guy that apparently owns the broadcasting thing, and they're like, turn this off, and he's like, no. And so apparently he would get like arrested after that. But I think that would have been interesting, especially with where his wife and Perrin end up at the end of the season. Because you kind of think most of the time you're
Oh,
like, I don't
right,
really
right.
like this
Yeah.
guy. But then if he comes out almost like as a secret ally of the rebellion,
Yep.
even just keeping her speech on, then you're like, oh, he like kind of sacrificed a lot, and now she's gone and he's gone, and so Perrin and his wife are just like drinking themselves like crazy in Coruscant.
Yeah,
So
I forget that we see Perrin at the very end too.
Yeah, and he is just alone.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That's gosh. It's just so
it's just so good.
it's
Like,
so good, man. Like oh, and
the
the sorry, go ahead, Joseph.
oh no, I was going to talk about the Saw Gerrera speech too.
Yeah. That Saw Gerrera speech. It was great. Those scenes with him and Wilman, I really felt were really solid too. It's like we didn't get a lot of time with Saw, but the scenes that we got, they maximized. He maximized his minutes.
Forrest Whitaker showed up and he was like, "I got it." Like,
yeah, exactly. He did
And
phenomenal.
they were on that rebel base or the resistance base from episode 7.
they are okay. That's what that was. I
Dakar.
thought that looked familiar and I couldn't figure out why.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
Dakar was where the rebellion goes.
That's so
Or
interesting.
the resistance. I call them the resistance. It's like a reskin of the rebels.
I
gotta be real, because we were talking about it earlier. Like Luthen's sacrifice, he knows if he sacrifices these 4 or 5 years, then the next 100 or whatever are good and solid. Like the sequel trilogy definitely puts a big downer on the end of Andor.
Yeah, but does that like make it almost better that it even took longer? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the fact that it like proves Luthen's
What do you mean?
point. Like it proves Luthen's point even more. That it wasn't like, oh hey, Luke fixed it and then it was all fine just a couple years later. The fact that it was like another generation for like Rey to actually toast Palpatine.
That's true.
And then it took literally 2 generations of people post Luthen to actually end the Empire.
That's fair. That's a good point.
Because I mean, you still have the Imperial Remnant. Because even at the end of like the Galactic Civil War, there's still like a group that escapes. Like they don't wipe everybody out. And so, but also, I mean, yeah, you have the sequel trilogy, but they did get like 30 good years.
That's true. And also, I mean, if
afterwards,
like it's if it does mirror real life, that's how it goes in the real world too. Like these,
Yeah.
But
I don't think it takes away from what it does. I mean, it's a downer, but still, you're like, hey, you got to be vigilant. Things definitely got better, and the stuff with the sequel trilogy, it really only lasts for about 2 years.
Which
before
is wild.
They wipe.
It's true. It's a pretty short
timeline
timeline when you think of 7, 8, 9.
Actually,
it's pretty quick.
That's wild.
So it's not like the 25 years or so that the Empire is around, where it's just complete authoritarianism everywhere, and it sucks. Yeah, there's problems in the New Republic, but nothing like real large scale, pending what happens with Thrawn. But from what we know right now, it was mostly good. They dealt with some pirates, some gangs, syndicates, but they weren't like the good guys were in charge.
They were.
So
that's true.
They got a little lazy, but
any other moments that we didn't talk about?
I don't think so. I think we hit all my big faves.
Yeah. Did Joseph, you got anything?
I actually liked that Clea got to live.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I was sitting there like, oh, yeah, going through the season, seeing how important she was. It's like, oh, Luthen's going to live and Clea's going to die. And then they flipped it. And I was like, you know what? I'm glad Clea lived. I'm glad Vel lived and Wilmon. I think it was a controversial choice to end with the baby, but I like it. Yeah. So
I liked it too.
I think it was a good way to end the show because you have the stakes of the show, but then you also have something concrete that they're fighting for, kind of personified in this baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it doesn't. To me, I hope they don't retcon this or like basically don't make baby Cassian a character in the future. There doesn't.
I never want to see this baby again.
Right.
No,
Right.
no.
I don't think that would happen, which is why I'm safe to say like that is ultimately why it's a good choice, is because this isn't to set up a future project. This is just to show you, like you said,
Yeah.
Joseph, what this was all worth in the end.
I I would like to see more of Clea and Vel, but not enough that it'd be like, oh, I got to see what they're up to, and then it gets ruined. But
Yeah.
I don't ever want to see Bix and the baby again. I'm like, let them
No.
just live on this planet in peace forever, because that's what they're. Oh, and B2,
Oh,
let them
me
live
too.
Me
there.
too.
No, we didn't get. That's
Um,
my biggest complaint with season 2. I think is not enough B2.
Lacking.
yeah, I mean,
Lacking just
they just
Lacking
had
in
to run away.
B2.
That Tie Fighter is crazy.
That time was
The
nuts, man.
that
Oh my
that
gosh.
he stole. One quick thing. I know we're going to wrap up soon, but I didn't get to watch the first episodes right when they came out, and I had a coworker. He said, "I'm not going to tell you anything about these first episodes except rock paper scissors." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, what is about to happen?" And then these dumb rebels in the middle of the forest on Yavin are like playing rock paper scissors to see who's going to lead
Yep.
them. So,
Yep.
oh, this is so stupid. I don't blame Cassian for getting the heck out of there. These are
Yeah.
like the dumbest rebels ever.
That was crazy. One thing we didn't. This is random. It just came to my mind. We mentioned it earlier. Didn't talk about it a ton. But the Force healer, in my opinion, was like such a great addition to the show. It's like not a really big deal. It's very inconsequential to the plot and everything. But I love both for the show itself and just for the Star Wars universe as a whole. Like we don't see this. You think of the Force as it's always talked about as something anyone can tap into, but it's only ever shown by a Jedi using it. And so the fact that there is a Force healer at the Rebel base who is in tune with the Force, who can tell that Cassian has like a very important role in destiny in the rebellion through being Force sensitive, and then is using her powers not in a warfare way like a Jedi would, but in a healing way, is like
Mm-hmm.
super cool. And I think that should be explored more in Star Wars.
No, it was just a great way to like add another layer to the theme of like hope, right? Where it's
Right.
like either you can believe in the world of Star Wars, like it's the Force helping them along, or like if like you're a character in Andor that doesn't believe in the Force, you're just like, oh, this is like another way that people are expressing hope for a better tomorrow. It works
Yeah.
any way you want to analyze it.
It's in a more Christian sense, like it reminds me of like spiritual gifts. Like
Yeah,
not everybody uh experiences faith the same way or has gifts within their faith the same way. And I feel like that's a
Mm-hmm.
missing element within the use of the Force in Star Wars. And I thought that's why it was so cool to see this, is like, yeah, it's not all just like lightsabers and Force battles. It's healing. It's like kind of prophecy is what this woman ultimately kind of did with Andor. And I thought that
And
was so cool.
and you see more subtle uses of the Force too with like Chirrut from Rogue
Yeah,
One, where
that's a
he's
good
like
point.
the
Same writer.
blind
So
spiritual guy.
yeah.
So I really liked seeing her too. I think it would be interesting to see more unaffiliated Force users that are good in the
Yeah.
universe, because usually it's like you're a Jedi or you're a dark side user that's not necessarily a Sith, but you're kind of
Right.
evil. And then this lady was just like, hey, I'm just like helping people out. Like, I'm not going to
Yeah.
go in and be like, use the Force to throw things and jump and kind of like sense danger and things. She's like, I'm just going to, help heal people and fix their spirits and fix their bodies. Which I think is good. And, we've seen the Force healing stuff before with like Rey and Grogu. So it's not
Yeah.
out of the realm of possibility.
That's true.
And I like how subtle it was, though, because they do kind of. So to us, she's like almost a nothing Force user. Like, oh no, she's not like Obi-Wan Kenobi or Luke Skywalker or anything. She's kind of more of a subtle Force user, but to everybody around her, she's like this mystical lady.
Yeah.
Cassian's freaked out by her.
Right.
He doesn't
Right.
trust her. So I think that's kind of consistent with how people would interact with someone like her.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Yes. 100%. I think the last question I really have is: did you guys watch Rogue One after watching Andor?
I did, and
Okay.
I like Rogue One more now, just because of this. It makes Rogue One better.
Okay. So
It
I didn't.
does.
I didn't watch it after. I still want to. Like, honestly, Haley and I just didn't get around to watching it together, but I think I probably still will myself. So, like,
The
how does it make it better in y'all's minds?
I mean, just the Andor line of like, I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. Like, now that we know that like this all started just because he was looking for his sister,
Yeah.
and the knowledge that he never finds her, and
Yeah.
like that mission is unfulfilled, but he does all this other stuff anyway. And then, like I said, now what we know with Bix and the ending with the baby, like everything on the beach has a totally different meaning of like, oh, it's like he finds solace in Jyn Erso at the end, and maybe that's like a sort of romantic thing. It's like, no, he was just thinking about how he never actually got back to Bix, and then there's this whole other thing he will never know about now. And now I'm very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it enriches our understanding of Mon Mothma. We learned
Yes.
so much more about the rebels on the Yavin base.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even we know a lot more about Saw Gerrera, how the Empire was building the Death Star. The only thing was because I like finished the last episode of Andor and turned Rogue One on. It's a big tone shift.
Yes.
Yeah.
It feels very different. Like you can see the consistencies, but it's different because I was watching Rogue One and was like, oh my goodness, this is moving so fast right now.
Yeah.
After we spend these like 24 episodes with Andor, gives you more respect for the K2 droids because they're basically the Terminator.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think it does enrich Rogue One.
Yeah, that's encouraging to hear. I wasn't sure how I would feel because I was of the opinion like before Andor, Rogue One was like a top 3 or 4 Star Wars movie for me, and I just had a feeling it wasn't going to live up to the same hype in my head after seeing Andor because of how good Andor is. But I'll definitely watch and update you all with my thoughts. But
there we go.
Before we get out of here. This week earlier, I think yesterday, we got our first look at the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Our first trailer, it was a teaser trailer, a very, very brief teaser trailer. So there's not like a lot to react to, but general reactions to our first trailer for the Mandalorian and Grogu.
I think this looks very fun.
Okay.
I love that we saw Zeb get an action moment. My guy. I think in both the good and the bad for the Disney brand, this will be the Deadpool and Wolverine of the Star Wars universe, where like this will be a totally good, entertaining movie. I think people will have a lot of fun, and I think it will remind people after Rise of Skywalker that they can make a fun movie, like how Deadpool and Wolverine, after the sort of mixed reception to a lot of the post-Endgame stuff, they were like, no, this is a fun Marvel movie. I think it'll do that well, but I think honestly people will kind of forget about this movie also, like 9 months after it's out. I'm kind of there right now.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the trailer was fine. I hope it gets back to more of a season 1 style of The Mandalorian, but I think it's going to be continuing more of season 2 and 3, which I thought got progressively less good, I guess, except for the Marshal. Because the Marshal's goated in Star Wars TV history.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Trent. It feels so. As a Mandalorian thing, I thought it was a good trailer. It feels underwhelming to be Star Wars' return to the movies after like 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure. I think it'll be a fun little adventure, but I almost feel like it could have been now we haven't seen the movie yet, so I don't know for sure, but I almost feel like it could have been like a TV special, like Werewolf by Night or the Guardian special, or some of the other little ones they've done.
And this is why I'm also nervous because I think I read yesterday that Jon Favreau this movie was the plan for season 4, and then the strike happened. And then the strike happened, and he was like, "Oh, I think I can turn this into a movie instead." And I'm like, "Uh-oh." I'm like, "That's not."
Yeah.
I will say that's a better strategy than what they've done in the past, them or Marvel turning a movie into a TV show.
Correct. I'd rather it
Yeah.
go this way, but I'm still like, oh,
Yeah,
I want it to feel like a movie, and I mean that in any sense of the word, whether it's the story, whether it's
Yeah.
visually. And right now from this teaser, I'm like, don't get me wrong, Jeremy Allen White as a Jabba the
Yeah.
Hutt, like that,
Sounds great.
No notes, but like I don't know if that's cinematic in and of itself.
That
I think the ad scene that they've shown in the trailer is going to end up being the scene that everyone remembers.
Yeah.
Well, that's the critique I've heard the most, is that this looks like a TV show. And I kind of agree. But I also, like, this is the first teaser. Like, there's probably a lot they're not showing us. In my opinion, I think this is better for Star Wars, I think, if this is just a fun adventure movie and it's not trying to set up anything. Will that, like, ultimately be memorable? I don't know, because like the bigger stakes a movie has, the more memorable it's gonna be.
Right.
But like, I just don't think. I think we hit our ceiling with how big the Mandalorian story can be when Luke showed up in the X-wing, and I think if we try to go past that, it seemed like that's kind of what happened in season 3. Is, you know, they tried to continue this like expansive world building with the show, and it just didn't work. So I would prefer if we retracted and this was just an adventure between Mando and Grogu across the galaxy. But I could also see that meaning like it's a in a few years we look back at this and we're like, oh yeah, it was okay, it was fun, but it was okay. And I also see the complaints that like visually, I don't know if this looks like a movie or not. But again, it's only like 45 seconds.
Yeah, it's so short.
It does look like a little bit of character regression because he's already got Grogu back. He's got a new Razor Crest. He's got a new pulse rifle. It's like he's going back to who he was before the end of season 2 and before season 3. And I think it is going to be a big setup movie. I think they're going to try and set up an Heir to the Empire thing, because they had announced that they were going to end the big Mandalorian universe stuff with a movie directed by Dave Filoni. That I think is going to be the Heir to the Empire movie, because Ahsoka season 2 comes out next year. But then we don't know what else is going. And Ahsoka season 2 is going to have Thrawn in it again, and it's going to set up more of the war stuff. I think this is going to set up more stuff with the Empire.
Yeah, you're probably right. And I'm nervous about that. I don't trust that it's gonna be good. I don't trust that is what these characters should be used for anymore.
But also in my heart, I'm like, Jon Favreau made Iron Man and Chef, and so I'm like, I know that
he also made Jungle Book though.
I that's my favorite of all the Disney live action
Jungle Book is great. I don't know.
That's fair. I didn't see Jungle Book in fairness, so that's
on me. That's the best one.
Slander on live action Jungle Book. Now we'll take all the slander on the live action Lion King movie he made, because
which Jon Favreau also did. So.
That's what I was thinking of. I was thinking of Lion King.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said Jungle Book. I meant to say Lion King.
So we'll see. We'll check back in a couple months, and then obviously in spring of 26 when it comes out.
Yeah, we'll see. 27 is when we get 27 is I think when we get Starfighter with Ryan Gosling.
I'm hopeful about that one. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for our Star Wars chat today. Guys, Andor, phenomenal show. Real quick, do we want to give Andor a grade? I think we all know what it is, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just
this is the most S tier show that's ever been created, I think. It's got to be.
Yeah, no notes.
Yeah. No notes there. All right, no notes.
Nitpicks, but no actual notes.
For all three of us. But yeah, this has been a great conversation. Thank you all so much for listening. We will be back with some more content soon. As always, listen wherever you get your podcasts. Watch us on YouTube and follow us at The Stinger Pod on socials. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will be back soon.